Hey guys, it's Tori. I'm from the Serve Day team. I help with ARC and Grow and Birmingham Dream Center Church of the Highlands. We're kind of like a little bit of a mixture of everything, and I get the joyous honor of being part of Serve Day 16, July 16th. If you haven't signed up already, go to serveday16.com, and we have tons of awesome resources there for you. But if you're tuning in, you probably already have an idea of what's going on there. And today is our first Serve Brew, is what we're calling it. Just basically, we wanted to get a bunch of people together once a week, share a cup of coffee, and talk about outreach and our hearts for that, and get some ideas and just kind of collaborate and dream together. So today, our featured guest is Miss Danielle Pena from Relentless Church in Vegas.
Hello,
Hi.
everybody.
Yes, and then we have Pastor Darian Rains from your place in Pryor, Oklahoma. Hey, Pastor Darian. And then Pastor Jason Parks from Refuge Church in Huntsville, Alabama. So right up the street. Hey, Pastor Jason. And then my pops is here from ARC, kind of co-hosting this with us. So today we just wanted to kind of start a conversation and hear a little bit from three very different places, but still all very similar hearts. So I just wanted to kind of first of all jump in and ask you guys some questions. So if it's cool, I was going to start with Pastor Jason. I actually got to visit his church with my dad a couple months ago, and my husband, and just the amazing heart for outreach that they have, and the dreams and stuff that they've got tons of vision. Pastor Jason just downloads the dreams of his people and stuff like that. They have tons of things they want to do in the community, but they're already doing it, and I've got a chance to kind of firsthand experience some of that stuff. And seriously, like, I don't want to spoil the fun, but seriously, it's gonna like blow your mind to hear the stuff that they're doing. So Pastor Jason, if you can just kind of talk for a second about what you guys are doing and what your hopes are, that'd be awesome.
Sure. I think more than anything, our heart is just to be a refuge to a hurting world. I mean, you look around and there's so much going on. There's so much negativity. There's so many people that are hurting. And we just want to do whatever we can to serve the community. And probably my favorite ministry that we do is called Rooms of Refuge. And several years ago, my wife and I were watching Extreme Makeover Home Edition. And, you know, they'll move that bus and everybody goes crazy. And I just thought to myself, what if we did this on a smaller scale for children in our communities that were terminally ill or had life-threatening illnesses? And so 2 years ago, we launched this ministry. And when there's terminally ill children in our community, we actually take a team in. We give them whatever kind of room that they want, be it a princess room or a superhero room or a Hawaiian room. And it's been an amazing way in a way that most of us can't even imagine. And we've gotten to go into the homes of Muslim families. We've gotten to go into the homes of people that haven't been to church in years. And it's been an amazing way just to minister and show somebody that we love them and bring hope. You know, hope is can look a lot of different ways. And at first we thought, you know, for somebody to have hope, it would have to be that the child was going to get better. But what we found is hope for a lot of families is just knowing that there's people around them that support them and love them. And that's just what we've tried to do. And we meet in an elementary school, so supporting our elementary school, providing mentors, you know, doing cleanup days. We've done popsicles at faculty meetings, just whatever it is to show people that we're here, that we're making an investment, and we're not going anywhere. That's really what we want to do.
That's awesome. Yeah, I definitely, like, the room makeover thing was cool because, Pastor Jason, you took me and my dad and my husband to actually go. We just popped in on a family that you guys had just done their little girl's room, and it was just like, it was magical. And then just to see the way that family maybe was, I think you had said they were kind of turned off to the idea of church. They weren't from America. They were from a different country, and they were kind of apprehensive. And then the fact that you guys were like, let us just take care of you, no strings attached. We just want to do some extravagant love. And then to see just the receptiveness to even say, yeah, take some out of town guests to our house and let us show you what's been happening. Just the openness that created was awesome. It was beautiful. And then just the whole vibe of your church, like, you guys, I love that every single person in the congregation stayed after service to pick up chairs. Like, it's an all hands on deck, let us serve each other, and there's a culture being created there, and I think that's beautiful. And so with all that in mind, like Miss Danielle, I want to jump to you because I remember last Serve Day, you guys were kind of, I think y'all were launching or something, and you had shared a story about how Serve Day kind of was a catalyst to help bring people into church, but also just get people in motion and stuff. So if you could just kind of speak to like how that story came about and then where it's gone from there would be awesome.
Yeah, for sure. We launched in January of last year, so we're a year and 4 months old. When Serve Day came up, we were only 6 months old at that time, and we're like, let's get into our community. And we had people that didn't want to join our team, or people that didn't want to get connected in groups or dream team or grow through a growth track that wanted to go to Serve Day, and it actually solidified them to be committed to our church.
Wow.
And so it was exciting. We had I think 45 people commit to Serve Day. This is a church plant, so we're pretty excited about that. It was a good number for us.
That's a lot.
And they decided that they wanted to be a part and make Relentless their home church because we are mission minded. We weren't just focused as a church plant in all of our needs, but we were able to focus on the community around us.
That's awesome. So what are you guys like continuing to do from since that day? Has there been anything kind of established since then? Are you guys kind of dreaming and discovering that, or what's that dynamic look like?
There's a few things that have perspired since then, and one of them was we were serving that day, and this is Las Vegas. It was 105 the day that we were serving, and we were helping with a very impoverished community in the downtown area, and there was a guy getting cups out of the trash can and dumping them all into one cup. So he'd grab like an energy drink and 2 drops would fall into a cup, and a Slurpee and 2 drops would fall. And so like as a kid, this was called like a suicide, right? We used to love to do this. But that was his only source of liquid that day. And
Wow.
It just jerked our hearts. So we went into all the 7-Elevens and bought all the cases of water and just walked around handing out bottles of water. And this is a ministry we have in our church right now. Everybody carries a case of water in their car, and we hand them out as we drive in Las Vegas, just to everybody else.
Oh my gosh. Wow. That's amazing. Yeah, I was scrolling through, you guys. Y'all have this Instagram page, which is awesome. And I was scrolling through. I was like, where are they doing disaster relief? They're collecting water? Like, no, you're in a desert. Like, this is like an everyday staple outreach. It's so cool. It's beautiful to see how little simple things just spark and change somebody's life. It's so awesome. So, Pastor Darian, I want to jump to you. Actually, I don't think I've actually met you in person. So I was like drilling down, like, tell me about them. What do they do? What's going on? So you tell us a little bit about what you guys do at your place church, and then also I know that you're part of Next Level, that whole network of coaching, and just kind of help translate maybe what beginning churches or existing churches can do to translate this their own outreach or their own ministry efforts in a way that is their sweet spot, because like these guys have kind of discovered some of the sweet spots in their area, and I think you probably have a lot of wisdom to speak to that. So
thanks, Dorian. Thanks for letting me be on the call. One of the things that we did early on when we launched our church, in fact, 2 weekends ago, we turned 7, so 7 years old. Here we go. And it's one thing we did is we got really connected with our local Chamber of Commerce. And the Chamber of Commerce was our key to unlock the safe of our community. And so in talking to our director of our Chamber of Commerce, basically she led us on to the fact that foster care was a big deal in our county. And so what we have done is we partner with our local DHS, and we do twice a year, not only Serve Day, but a different time, I think it's in the fall, we actually do what we call Best Dressed in Mays County, in, of course, Mays County, Oklahoma. And we do a massive foster care festival. And it's one of the things that we have been able to partner with different retailers in the area, and we actually we mobilize our church. Everybody brings clothes, they bring diapers, they bring all kinds of resources, and we actually put on a massive event. We turn our entire church into this, for a lack of a better word, it's a carnival, but it's got a different feel than that. And then all of the foster care parents are able to come in and meet in our auditorium and meet one-on-one with DHS and with their team, while we're able to take the children and just have an entire night of fun and games and food. And then at the end of the night, we have one area of our church that's opened up as a store, and they're able to go shopping and get different outfits for free, essentially. And so that's one of those things that we do, and it's one of those areas that we kind of are known for now in our community. And there's, put the picture up on the screen there. And so it's one of those things that we're able to make a splash in our community. And now what's happening this year is our local counties have found out what we're doing, and so they have asked if they could come and be a part of our event as well. So for us, as a new church plant, I would recommend get connected with your local area chamber, because they know the needs in your community, and they're really quick to identify those needs for you. And whatever just kind of quickens your heart, step into that and see where the Lord takes it.
Hey Tori, show that screen share again.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if it was working.
Which
Okay.
is a great looking face, but I think in the context, the picture might be better.
Can you see it?
That's cool.
Yes.
You got it?
Yeah, that's it.
It is. Yeah, I was stalking. I was like, man, check this out. I hope they talk about it. So that is so cool.
That's cool.
Very
It's
cool.
pretty awesome the way it's set up. I love that you said just hear the voice of the community and the city before you kind of just jump in. And I'm reading up on some of the concepts of how to not just jump in as a church and say, oh, we have this, this, and that, and do this and that, and we're in and out. But like listening to the voices of the people. And so like Miss Danielle, you said you guys identified this guy who was like crazy thirsty, and then Pastor Darian, y'all went to the Chamber of Commerce, and then even Pastor Jason, just like these people are hurting, and letting their voices, like the Bible tells us to be a voice for the voiceless. And so I think our passions can get ahead of us sometimes. So if we just stop and say, what are the people saying, and then what are they even not saying, but really they're expressing, that we can jump in and help let them find dignity in what we're coming in, just to come alongside. So I love that, and I think it's beautiful. So for you guys, like, how did you, I know Pastor Jason, I kind of want to start with you, like, how did you end up starting, like, identifying these needs? Because I get overwhelmed. There's so many different opportunities, ways to identify people, ways to jump in. Like,
Right.
What started you, like, oh, I'm going to do these room makeovers? Like, how did you find that? What was your starting point?
Sure, I think I agree with everybody else. I think that you have to know your community. And for me, I was born and raised here, and so I knew a lot what that had been going on. I searched the statistics. I met with community leaders. If you can meet with elected officials, if you can meet with Chamber of Commerce, like Pastor Darian said, if you can meet with the principals of the schools, they are a wealth of information about what's going on in the community. A lot of communities also have United Ways and volunteer centers. And a lot of these organizations actually put together, they will pay to have needs assessments done, and so because they're allocating money and resources, so you can look at these needs assessments, and they'll actually map out, here's what's going on in our community, and here's what we need to do. Listen, I love to partner with existing organizations. If I can find institutions and organizations that are already doing something, there's no sense in reinventing the wheel. Especially if they're already doing something in Jesus' name, and we can just provide resources and provide people to support that. I think a lot of it is just about asking questions. We've been in our school now for 2.5 years, and I'll never forget. It was in December. I called the assistant principal and I said, hey, listen, Miss Sutton, do you have any needs? What's going on at the school? Yeah. And she said, we just found out that we're going to lose one of our employees because the grant ran out. And she was a reading interventionist. This is a school with a lot of children that are living below the federal poverty line. And as a church, we were able to come together and raise the money to actually pay for this FTE for the rest of the year, so the school had what they needed. A lot of it's just asking questions and listening, and to see what people need.
That's awesome.
Let me jump in with something. You present something, Darian. I'm sure you've seen this in 7 years, and maybe felt it some too. But a lot of times, I wonder if guys, pastors, guys or girls, are a little bit afraid to ask that question, because it doesn't take a lot of smart to see a need in a community. But when you ask the question, it's almost like saying, you know, we're going to come and help that need, and maybe you don't have what it takes to fix it to make everybody in Las Vegas have plenty of water for the whole summer. Okay, you can't guarantee there will be nobody thirsty in Vegas, but you guys, Danielle, you and Joe, you've jumped in and you've said we're going to do something about it. But I wonder if sometimes that it's a little intimidating to go ask the question because you're afraid they're going to think you've got all the answers, you're going to fix it all. How do you? I'm just jumping into it, but Darian, how would you coach a pastor through that?
Yeah, I feel like for the most part, I mean, because again, as we look around in our communities, the need is obviously vast, and depending on where you are in the country, I mean, those needs may differ. But for us, we saw all the need, and we listened to the loudest cry, per se, as we started talking to people. What was the loudest cry? And what was that one thing that, for whatever reason, it quickened our heart? It just moved inside of us. We knew after hearing about foster care and hearing about, I mean, just in Mays County alone, like we only have 42,000 people in our county. And so to have 200 foster care kids in the system, in a smaller community, we knew that there was something there. And so that's what it moved us. It just leapt in our heart. And so that's how we took that step. I feel like because the needs are so vast, finding out what the biggest need is, finding out what maybe the need that you feel like your church is called to solve would be the answer in those areas.
Mm-hmm. Good.
Works for me. Works for me good. Tori, I just jumped in, just totally derailed there. I wanted to.
No, you're good. I froze up for a second. No, that was awesome. So I love that. I love that identifying needs is just a matter of listening and just kind of seeing where God leads it. So what about, I have a question I just want to throw out there and anybody can jump in, but what about the relationship between, we talk a lot here at Highlands about empowering people and the dreams and the needs that they see. So we're, as pastors and church leaders, it's like our job to kind of facilitate the relationship between what are the needs that I see big picture, but then also what are the passions of the people within the church or within the small groups and all that stuff. So for you guys as leaders, like how do you balance the relationship of empowering people, but also saying, I'm the leader and I know that this is what needs to happen, so the big and the small. How do you guys navigate that? I can call somebody out.
Yeah, I can't. Danielle, your turn. You got it.
All right. Well, I think we're really blessed as a young church plant that we get to say, is my mic on?
Yep. Yeah, you're good.
Okay. All right. We have a lot of vision. Our pastor, my husband Joe, is very visionary. And we did look at the needs in our community and directly in the hub that we're at. And we're able to give the vision in a very encouraging, like this is how it's going to affect our community and relationships. And for example, we have a school that's very impoverished in our neighborhood that we planted our church. And most of them, like 90% below the poverty level, like it's very, very impoverished. And we were able to get around our community where most of these people live that we're reaching and ministering to and say, let's get backpacks. Let's go buy cases of paper and ink, and let's buy whatever we need. And we were really able to drive that. But how we picked a leader for it was that they shared that vision with us. And so we empowered them because they shared the vision, not just because they had a great vision and they brought it to us, but that they were working with us. And I think that's really, really important. People that are always asking for a position and always asking to do something, they're overstepping a boundary, and it brings like a lot of it's unhealthy for the most part. And so I think people that are able to capture a vision and walk alongside of you and uphold it, those are the ones that you want to empower. And so, and picking the ones that line up with the vision of the church. And our vision is so that people disconnected from God can experience new life in Christ. And so if it doesn't go along with that vision, we're not behind it. And so it's really easy for us to tell people, well, how does that line up with our vision? Talk to us about it. And that's how we kind of go about empowering different people as well.
Awesome.
I was going to jump in. I think that's...
Go ahead, Jason. Sorry.
I was going to say, I think that's awesome, Danielle, and I also think it's when it comes to just ARC and the whole system of small groups, I think having free market small groups is a great way to empower people, because they might come to you and say, I want to start this ministry. Well, you know what? Let's test drive it. Let's test drive it in a small group environment, and if it works, awesome. Let's do it. This could be one of the signature. Maybe let's try something else, or maybe let's leave it in the small group. I've seen so many people that have walked away from church because they didn't feel like they were getting to live out their purpose. But I think that's one of the things I love about ARC is just the model of our churches allow us to release people to do ministry. And so I would encourage people, if you don't have a free market small group system, really look into it, because it can, in lots of different areas, it can make a huge impact.
I agree, Jason, and we do have that as well, and we've been able to test drive some things. We have people that want to do a feeding ministry for the homeless. We're like, go for it. In their small group, one week they meet together, and then the next week they go out and they feed people out of the back of their car, which is actually illegal in Vegas, so they have to be very careful about the way they do it. And so, but yes, small groups are the best way to be able to run ministries. I agree with that.
I was going to say something that kind of jumps off a little bit from that, Danielle, but you guys at Relentless, you've got a saying that's up everywhere, all over the theater when you do church, but it's on half your Instagram posts too, I think. But it's a place to belong before you believe.
Yes.
I think if you're going to be that, you've got to be a church that says, we really are going to give you a place to feel safe and not be threatened. And I think you guys do a great job of that through the way you do outreach in small groups. I think that's an exemplary thing that, if somebody wants to learn how to do that, they ought to talk to you guys, because that's just, you guys kill it.
Thank you very much.
That's huge. That's awesome. Pastor Darian, did you have anything to add to that concept?
No, I agree with both of the statements said here, because the small groups is really where it's at. And as far as empowering people go, it doesn't take you long to identify people's hearts, because they usually come to you as a pastor wanting you or us as a church to do something. And what they're wanting in that moment is they're wanting resources and they're wanting stage time. That's what they're wanting. But really, when we can empower them to say, hey, listen, this sounds like this is a calling in your heart. This sounds like something that God wants you to do. We think it would be a great small group or a life group. We call them life groups. We think it would be a great life group for you to get involved and rally a group of people. And I can tell you 3 or 4 people who are thinking the same thing you're thinking. Why don't you start going that direction? And here's a couple of resources in our community that might help fund that. And then they start kind of moving that direction. It's scratching that need that they have, that they feel like they're called to do, without us necessarily having to fund and platform every single thing.
Right. And I'm completely in agreement, because I get to oversee our free expressions at the Dream Center small groups. And it's a playground, like you said, Pastor Jason, and it's just, let's try it out, let's test it. If you want to go for it, awesome. But it kind of like saves some energy on our end. We don't have to like spin our wheels trying to figure out all of this stuff. It's just like, go try it out, and if it ends up, sometimes they turn into our staple ministries. Like, we have a group right now that we're looking at, like, this is incredible, and we really want to get behind it and start pouring resources into it, because it's amazing. But some of them are amazing, and they're going to stay small groups. It's a playground, test it out. And what's cool is that for us as a small group, it's a commitment to 1 semester rather than for on and on and on. So they don't feel like a failure if the idea was not the best. They can just do it for a few months and then it's done, or they can continue. So I love that. And I think that it's cool.
I'm sorry. We got a question in here. I just wanted to, before we get into the next question, there's a question came in from Kevin Inman, not too far from you, Rich, in Pryor. He's up in Marionville, Missouri. So Kevin, he asked, are any of you doing the All Pro Dad program? Any of you guys jumped on that? I saw them at the art conference last week. Seemed like a really great thing. I'm not aware of too much about it though. Any of you guys doing that program?
Nope, I don't know anything about it.
No.
Nope. All right. Well, 0 for 3. And Tori's not doing it. I'm not doing it yet. So 0 for 5. Sorry, Kevin. All right. So I just want to get that in there, Tori. You can go on.
If you are doing it, Kevin, then let us know. Maybe we'll interview you about it next week.
Good call. Good call.
But okay, so good question. And if you guys have other questions, please, we do have a Q&A section, so please jump on and talk about that. So moving on from, we were talking about the culture of outreach being woven into our communities and how we can empower people. And so the next question that I have is just for you guys, like obviously we're all going to do Serve Day on July 16th. How do you use that not as just a destination event, because a lot of people are like, oh yeah, check mark, I do Serve Day. We want that to just be like the Super Bowl, the celebration of a lot of different things coming together. And so to weave that into the culture, something that either for like Miss Danielle, you guys, it kind of sparked something and went from there, or for people who are already maybe doing outreach or it's kind of happening but not flowing just yet. How do we use Serve Day as a chance to really culminate the heart of outreach? Pastor Darian, I'm calling on you.
That's how you have to do on these things when you have multiple voices. You just have to kind of pick on people. Yeah, I think the more we can share the heart behind what we're doing. For instance, like on Serve Day, we can share what we're doing. We rally around. Like the temptation for us early on was just to get involved in every little thing that we did in our community. I mean, we made a little dent in a lot of different things when we really focused on making a big dent in just a few things. Like, for instance, on Serve Day for us, we were able to rally our resources, to rally our marketing, to rally our vision. And once people showed up to be a part of that, then we followed that up with, hey, listen, this doesn't just have to be a once-a-year thing. Mm-hmm. Like, here's some small groups that we're doing. Like, these 3 small groups right here, they actually want to do something similar to this, and we would encourage you guys to get connected here. And then we always told them about the next event. Serve Day is just one thing, one time a year that we get involved in our community, but we always talked about the next event coming up, because people, once they feel that experience of actually helping others, of serving others, it feels good to them.
Yes.
And so they want to be a part of that. They want to be a part of the next thing, and they'll find their place. They'll find it, and it'll quickly become the culture. We call it creating buzz. Once that buzz gets created, it becomes this momentum of its own. So that's how we do it. I'd be curious how others do.
Cool. Pastor Jason, you want to jump in?
Well, we do quarterly Serve Saturdays. So this is something that we already have as a part of our culture, that we get everybody together and do large church-wide events. So what we want to do is we want to use Serve Day as an opportunity, like Pastor Darian, to really rally people and almost just be a huge kickoff point. We need everybody, all hands on deck. Something we've never done before, but we're doing this year, is we're going to provide the T-shirts for everybody and do those things to really, like you said, create that buzz and create that excitement. But just like Danielle had said earlier, I mean, I want to use this as an opportunity for people to invite their friends. I tell our people all the time, when Jesus called the disciples, he didn't say, hey, come and let me teach you for 3 years, and then we're going to go. And growth and everything happen as a result of that. And so if we can just get everybody together and just really make an impact, it does. It makes you feel good. And I think it's one of the. I started serving when I was in middle school, and it's never left. It's something that gets inside of you and it grows inside of you, and you want to continue to do it. And I would encourage, if you're a smaller church, do a huge event. There's the temptation to say, well, we need to do 4 or 5 or 6 things around the community. But I would go with what Pastor Darian said. Pick one thing and make a huge impact. Everybody have a time together, because for us, one of the culture values of our church is we like to have fun, and there's nothing more fun than serving with people that you love, and you want to create that family atmosphere, and you can do that through Serve Day.
Yeah,
that's awesome. That's awesome.
We agree. We give away free shirts. People like free shirts, and makes them come, and then they do feel a part. And we met in a couple different places, and I know most of us do the growth track where we find out what people's spiritual gifts are. And so we kind of found out what some of the things that people were interested in, and then we did our Serve Day around those couple of different events. So we have a huge homeless need, and so that was a big heart of our church. And so yes, we had a huge group go there. And then this, everybody likes puppies, and so we helped at the animal shelter, and I mean that was great. Families loved it.
Oh,
And
so
so
cool.
and so parents that were scared to take their kids to do homeless ministry could go play with puppies and clean up dog poop, and it was great. And everybody got a shirt. And then at the end of the day, we're talking about this year doing a big barbecue, so it is like a collective come together, everybody, and we can talk about it. And then there's that buzz, there's that hype, there's that like, this was so great, everybody, and then we can talk about how we can implement that within groups or within just their day-to-day life and empower people.
Super cool. I love all of you guys. Oh my gosh. It's so cool how it's all the same kind of heart, the same kind of intentions, and it's just beautiful. I think, like, because I can agree with everything that you guys are saying from top to bottom, just like from what I've seen being with Pastor Dino and Servolution, and then now here at Highlands. It's just cool how God takes something so simple, takes people's hearts, and just connects the dots, and we just get to be like just the facilitators of it. I love that. For us, Serve Day, we kind of do the same thing. We encourage small groups to create their own projects, have a passion that you already know, and go facilitate with the people who maybe are new to it or where they fit yet. We're like, here, this is something that everyone can do. And then we do our quarterly first Saturdays, just like Pastor Jason said. And we try to have family-friendly projects. So again, if a family can't bring their little kids to go to the homeless outreach, they can put together a hygiene kit for the homeless and then see a picture of it being given away and be like, oh wow, I helped. I'm just a little kid, but that man's now off the streets because we got to visit him. So through our craft. So it's amazing. There's creative possibilities that are endless, but if it's driven by God's Spirit, heaven's gonna get bigger, and that's all that matters. At the end of the day. Heaven on earth, heaven getting bigger. Yeah. So, okay, I want to wrap up with one more question. Yes, sir.
We got one more question came in.
Okay.
Kevin in Springfield area. And Jason, you touched on this a little bit. So did you, Darian. But do you partner with local business leaders and owners in your serve days for finances and resources? Maybe dive in a little deeper to that, Jason. How you guys have done, and Darian, both of y'all talked about that. But diving into how do you partner with them? Do you just give money to them? Do you send volunteers to stuff they're doing? Do you ask them to donate? I mean, that's kind of normal. We all ask business leaders to donate to what we're doing, but it sounds like you do it a little differently. How do you do that? Diving in, Darian, you go first. I think Jason just dropped off for a second.
Yeah, that's great. So we do both. Obviously, we connect with, like I mentioned earlier, like with DHS, and there's a couple of other outreach opportunities in our county. It's kind of like a battered women's shelter that we connect with, and we help there. We do kind of a whole week of serve. In fact, our community is the one that started that. We thought, man, we live in a community that loves itself, that they actually started a week of serve in October. And so that was really cool for us just to kind of jump on board with that. But as far as actually mobilizing some of our business community to get involved in resources, we do that for our serve events, and we do that a lot of times for like a big series that we're doing. And I know that's kind of off topic, but they want to be involved. They recognize, because again, they hear, they know, they want to be a part of helping our community. They want to be a part of giving back, and especially some of the businesses that are local. They are the ones that they live in our community. They know the needs. And so what that looks like is a couple of times a year, and I say only a couple of times because those guys, you can wear them out if you just kind of constantly go towards them. And so for us, we just kind of have a list of names of people that we know love our community. They love our county. And so when we're doing a big event, I'll just approach them. And typically it's me, because I'm the pastor of the church. I hope someday I'm not the one making those relationships, but as it is right now, I am. And so I just go and I ask them, I say, listen, this is what we're doing. This is what we did last year. Here's the results. They're all interested in return on their investment. They want to know, like, okay, is this making a difference? And so we've done some things along those lines. We have a big youth outreach every year that they've gotten involved in. We do a big marriage thing every year. And again, it's one of those things that, does it fit in outreach? Maybe, but it's one of those things that they want to be a part of helping meet a need in our community. So that's how we've done it. We've given them opportunity to be sponsors on our logo and on our print material, our video stuff. 9 out of 10 times, they're not even interested in that. They don't want their name on anything. They just want to help be a part of making a difference in our community. So that's how we do it.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool.
That's
Tori,
awesome.
are you back on now?
Yeah, I'm good. I was
Okay.
just struggling.
Go
I
for it.
love that. I love that he said that the partnering with the local businesses and the partnerships. I know that like some of the cool outreaches that I've heard of is bringing like hot meals or offering to wash windows or clean toilets for these businesses, and so it's not like with an ulterior motive, but it is like we just want to do life with you, so let us start by serving you. Steve Sjogren, I don't know if you guys have read Conspiracy of Kindness, shout out Steve Sjogren, he's awesome. But one of his favorite things is just to go wash toilets. Like, who would have thought? But it just has opened so many doors to be able to do that. And then even here at the Dream Center in Birmingham, one of our guys, Kevin Farmer, is in charge of partnerships, and his job, we make fun of him, but he takes partners to lunch like all the time. Like, we just want to hear about you, we want to befriend you, and then once a month or once a quarter, we bring about 60 of our partners to the Dream Center and we say, come to lunch on us. We're just going to connect with you guys. We want to hear what you're doing, what's going on, and let's bounce. And so many connections have been made not just from us to them, but from each other. And so it's just creating like a lot of camaraderie. And so yes, it's awesome. Everything that you're saying is so cool. So one more question before we wrap it up, and we'll let each of you guys answer. It's a little bit of a sappy question. Dad just suggested it, so I just let him know that. What are a couple of things that you would love for every pastor to know or remember about the value of having an outreach culture in your church, and how or why is it so vital in your own church? Jason Parks, you're first.
Sure.
Okay.
You know, I think for me, it's if we want to be like Jesus, Jesus met people's needs physically and spiritually. And so if I want to be like Jesus, I've got to be willing to do the dirty work. I've got to be willing to get messy with people. I tell people all the time, I'm the guy that wants to get in the ditch with them and push them out. We just, that's the kind of culture that we're trying to create, that just to irrationally love people. And so, I mean, if you want to make an impact, you love a community. I remember from art training, you make an investment in the community so you can earn the right to speak into people's lives. And that's what we want to do. If we want to be able to make Jesus famous, if we want to be able to make heaven bigger, we've got to do the hard work. And I think hard work is the Christian work ethic. We've got to be willing to do that. And for our church, I've told them from day one, I'm not a very cool guy. I mean.
And then it pauses.
He's so cool, it froze.
He froze up. Oh, and he's gone.
Hey, I don't know if you caught what he said, but he was talking about being the guy who will not just walk by the guy in the ditch, but get down in the ditch and push the guy out. That's Jason, and that's really what their church is becoming. I was going to have him repeat the line, but I'll just do it while he's out and
That's
coming back in.
That's awesome. Okay, so while we're waiting for him to jump back in, Miss Danielle, if you would like to jump in and answer that question, that'd be awesome.
Yes, I love what Jason said. I think we have to love like Jesus did, and Jesus was the one that got down in the dirt with the prostitute and made the line in the sand. He was willing to get down there and get dirty. And Vegas, prostitution's legal, and we see a lot of it. And it's to be there and to help people in the dirty. And so we do have the saying that it's a place that you can belong before you believe. And we do that. We want people. We have people that are in strip clubs that are pimping. We have different kinds of people that are coming. We have a Muslim that got saved, and they're belonging to a church, and just because they feel loved and they feel something that they've never felt before. And so I think as we're talking about serving It's serving in little ways too. Like we go to birthday parties for kids or baby showers, and it's with crazy people that Jesus would hang out with. And Jesus would hang out with the sinners. And so he'd be okay being with the Chippendale over there and the bartender that's over there. And we get to hang out with these people. And yes, it's dirty sometimes, but that's what loving people. And the scripture says where the stable is clean, there are no oxen. And so, yeah, there's poop, it's a mess. But we're not trying to undo their mess. We're just trying to love them like Jesus did. And he loved all of us that way before we were saved. And so that's what we try to remember. Our stories aren't perfect. They're not pretty. But we love people that way. I'm a Snap 2 girl.
No, yes, I'm melting. It's amazing. I love that you said we get to love these people. I went on a mission trip to Los Angeles Dream Center. Who hasn't gotten all sappy with that? But it rocked my world because God really revealed to me. I'd never been exposed to something that extreme. Like Skid Row rocked me. I'd been in outreach for years, but that was just intense. And God was like, do you see the people who are covered in garbage bags as their blankets? And you see the people whose rats are crawling up and down their bodies, shooting up? And he said, those are my treasures. Like, get on your knees, look them in the eyes. That's me. And so now everything that I do, I try to remember, like, this person is really crazy, but that's Jesus I'm looking at. They are valuable. How do I draw the dignity, and how do I just come care with humility, not a hand down, but a hand up? So that's beautiful. I love your heart. That's awesome. Pastor Jason, you're back. Do you want to finish your thought? We were like tweeting quotes from you. We were like recapping that. That was awesome.
I might not be a very cool guy, and I tell my church all the time, I'm not worried about being the cool church. I'm not worried about being the hip church. I want to be the church that cares the most. I want people to look at that church and say, there is no other church in this community that cares as much as they do. And if something happened and we had to shut our doors, I want the community to miss us and say, where did they go? And so that's our heart.
And it shows. It really does. I've been there once, and like I go back a lot, and I'm just like, I want to make sure that culture spreads in my own heart and where I'm at. So it's beautiful. Thank you. And Pastor Darian, we saved you for last. So if you want to spill your heart, that would be great. We'd love to hear it.
Well, and I agree with both Jason and Danielle in this, because they've said it. I mean, it's the goodness of God that leads people to Him, that leads people to repentance, and it's one of those things that, you know, I am 35 minutes from Tulsa. We call it Tulsa-Jerusalem, where it's just a lot of churches and a lot of people, and the name of Jesus is spread throughout our area, and so we always question God, why are you sending us here? Because it seems like it could potentially be over-churched. But the other side that we have is it has, in some degree, people. And don't hear what I'm not saying, but there are some people that we're ministering to right now that it's the steeples and stained glass is what turns them off. And so to be able to go into their world, to reach them where they live, to bring, you know, to meet their needs and not ask anything from them is a big thing. It really is. And so we're able to kind of reach the disconnected and disillusioned from church and from God just by, you know, the whole love piece, the resource piece, the outreach piece. That's what's raising an eyebrow. That's what's drawing them back. Maybe these people don't want anything from me. Maybe they actually do love me. Maybe they do actually care. And that's been a thing as far as kind of embedding that into the culture of our people. They see it, they get it, and they come around because it's authentic. And that's what they're after. They don't want the makeup. They don't want the baloney. They want the authentic. They want people to be the Jesus that they've heard about.
Amen.
Yeah.
Yes. Wow. What a note to end on. That's mind-blowing. I'm going to watch this video back and take notes and be tweeting. You guys are such a wealth of knowledge, and Dad and I both, we thank you guys so much for just taking a time out to do this with us. And I'm sure I just want to share on our Instagram, if anybody follows Servolution on Instagram or Twitter, I've tagged all of you guys, so I'm sure if it's cool, we can point people to you guys just to ask questions if they have any about specifically what you're doing, because I know you're relevant to a lot of different people in different ways. So I'll continue to kind of keep that conversation going. And then for anyone else who's watching, next Monday at 3 o'clock, I'm going to be interviewing Pastor Jimmy Rollins and Charity Trahan, who are from I-5 Church in Maryland. I say Baltimore, right outside Baltimore. And they're amazing, doing a lot of cool stuff. So jump on in. We're going to talk about lots of ideas. And so thank you guys again so much. And we will be seeing you soon.
Yeah,
Serve
Thanks
Day
so much for having
Thank
us,
you.
guys.
Thank y'all.
Bye.
Thank you.